I slipped into the tunnel behind our school, but what I saw inside wasn't just real, it followed me back. Everyone in our school knew about that tunnel. It was hidden behind the old gym, buried under years of moss and forgotten memories. No signboards, no warnings, just a rusted iron gate, always half open, like it was waiting for someone to walk in. The seniors used to joke about it during lunch breaks, how a kid named Naman once went in and never came back. I thought it was just a story until last week. It was a Saturday, and I had stayed late after school for extra classes. As I walked past the backfield shortcut, my foot slipped on some loose gravel. My hands flailed, trying to grab onto something, but there was nothing. I tumbled backward, hard, and landed right at the entrance of the tunnel. The gate creaked open, as if welcoming me. My phone had slipped from my pocket, bouncing further in. Without thinking, I followed it in, just a few steps, but those few steps turned into more. The air inside was heavy, still, and cold like a freezer. Dust clung to every surface. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, like something else was walking behind me. I found my phone, screen cracked but still glowing. I turned to leave, and the entrant was gone, vanished. I wasn't even 5 meters in, but all I saw now was endless darkness. The more I walked, the more the tunnel seemed to stretch. The walls pulsed, slightly breathing, as if alive. That's when I heard it, dragging sounds, wet, uneven footsteps, a whisper right behind my ear, but no breath on my neck. I turned around, shining my phone's weak light, and saw nothing. But then something breathed back, and from that moment on, I knew I wasn't alone. I turned and ran. The dragging noise behind me quickened, like it was chasing, no, hunting me. My phone's flashlight flickered. The battery drained faster than it should. My lungs burned. My footsteps splashed into something wet, now coating the floor. I didn't stop to check what it was, but it reeked like rust and rot and old blood. The tunnel walls, once narrow and solid, now looked different. They pulsed gently, as if made of flesh. I rubbed my eyes. No, I thought. I must be hallucinating. I hit my head. I'm dreaming, but nothing changed. And then I saw him. Just ahead, hunched and shaking, was a boy, my age. His school uniform shredded and soaked in blood. He turned slowly, and his eyes met mine. It was Naman, the boy who disappeared years ago. He didn't speak, didn't move, just stood there, trembling. His face was pale, jaw clenched so tight his teeth had cracked. Suddenly, deep gashes began appearing all over his arms and chest without any visible cause. Blood sprayed from invisible slashes. His mouth opened in a silent scream. I backed away, terrified, my own body frozen. From the darkness behind him, something emerged. Not walking, not floating. It slid, tall, humanoid, but its face was stretched like wet cloth pulled over a skull. Hollow sockets, no nose, just rows of needle-sharp teeth on a mouth far too wide. Its limbs cracked sideways with every step, like it was used to crawling, but now was learning to stand. And in its clawed hand, it held a child's notebook, a school diary, mine. I hadn't even noticed I dropped it. As I watched in horror, it opened the diary, flipped through a few pages, and began scratching something with its long nail. I couldn't see what it wrote, but every scratch echoed in my skull like a scream, and then pain, searing pain across my chest. I screamed and looked down. Deep, fresh cuts had appeared, matching the movement of its claw in the notebook. It was writing on me. I turned and ran again. My legs felt numb, like my muscles were disconnecting from my bones. Every corner I turned looked the same. The tunnel was shifting, changing, mocking my sense of direction. I fell. My head hit something metal, maybe an old pipe, and I blacked out for a moment. When I woke, I was somewhere else. The tunnel now had walls, made entirely of old classroom doors, each one labeled with subjects: math, English, science. But they were wrong. The doorknobs bled. One door creaked open, and inside was a chalkboard with a message scrawled in red.
You shouldn't have followed him.
My heart dropped. I turned to run the other way, but the tunnel behind me had turned pitch black again. That dragging sound started up once more, but this time it was closer, much closer. Suddenly, every door along the corridor burst open at once. Screams echoed out of each one, overlapping, deafening. I ducked into the nearest one and slammed it shut. Silence. The room inside was small, square, lit by a flickering overhead light, and in the center, a desk. On it lay an old school bag, mine. I recognized the keychain on the zipper. Trembling, I opened it. Inside were pages torn from a notebook, my handwriting, but written in panic. Dozens of entries, each one more frantic. Still here, no way out. It copies people. It looks like teachers now. Don't trust the light. It feeds on it. If someone reads this, burn the tunnel. Suddenly, the desk started shaking violently. I backed into the corner as the room twisted, warped, and collapsed into itself. I was thrown backward into the tunnel again, bleeding, exhausted, crying. But ahead, I saw something. A door, metal, rusted, glowing faintly from behind. An escape? I sprinted toward it, pain shooting through every limb. The ghost was behind me now. I could feel it, its claws swiping at the air just inches away. The notebook was still in its hand, pages turning on their own. I reached the door, grabbed the handle, and it burned. My skin sizzled, but I didn't let go. With a scream, I pulled it open, and everything turned white. Just endless, blinding white. For a moment, I thought I was dead. My ears rang, my vision blurred at the edges. I couldn't feel my body. No pain, no cold, nothing. But slowly, my senses returned. I was lying on something soft. A bed? I sat up with a jolt. I was in my room. My room. The familiar walls, the posters, the broken alarm clock I'd never fixed. Sunlight poured through the curtains. I was back. It was all a dream? No way. It felt too real. My heart still pounded in my chest. My shirt clung to me, soaked in sweat. I looked down at myself. No blood, no wounds, no dirt or tunnel dust. My hands were clean. My phone sat beside my pillow, fully charged, untouched. I glanced at the date on the phone. Sunday. My mind reeled. But the tunnel, the ghost, the cuts. Was it really just a nightmare? Downstairs, I could hear the sound of the TV. My mom's voice, cheerful as ever. The smell of paratha drifted in. It was as if nothing had happened. Shaky and unsure, I walked into the bathroom and turned on the light. I splashed water on my face, stared into the mirror. My eyes were sunken, dark rings underneath. My hair a mess, but everything looked normal until I lifted my shirt. There, carved across my chest and stomach, were deep red gashes, dozens of them, some still crusted with dried blood, others fresh and raw. I stumbled back, choking on my breath. It was real, all of it. The notebook, the ghost, the tunnel. It left its mark on me. I quickly threw on a hoodie and ran downstairs. My mom looked up from the kitchen. "Why are you up so early on a Sunday? You okay?" she asked. I nodded quickly, lying through my teeth. "Yeah, just had a weird dream." I skipped breakfast and left the house, heading straight to the school. I had to know. The school gates were locked, of course, but I knew how to climb the side wall. I'd done it a dozen times before. Once inside, I made my way to the back of the building, to where the tunnel had been, but it was gone, completely vanished. There wasn't even a grate anymore, just grass and gravel, as if it had never been there. Confused and sweating, I started searching the perimeter. Surely I hadn't imagined it. I circled the area again, looked under the old generator room, even pulled back weeds and rubble. Nothing. And then I saw something strange. Carved into the concrete wall nearby, hidden behind a bush, were words, faint but visible. "You escaped, but not really." I felt my blood go cold. My legs turned to jelly. Was someone messing with me? Suddenly, my phone vibrated. A notification. It was from the Notes app, but I hadn't opened it. The note title read, Room 6B. My heart dropped. That was the abandoned room in the old school block, closed for renovations years ago. Nobody was allowed in there, but somehow the ghost or something knew I'd be reading that note. With trembling hands, I opened it. Inside the note were just 5 chilling words. "I'm still writing your end." I didn't go to the room that day. I couldn't. Fear gripped me for the next week. I avoided school, faked being sick, couldn't sleep. Every time I did, I'd see that thing. Its stretched face, its claw, the notebook. I started checking my body every morning for new cuts, and I kept finding them, some small, some long and deep, always fresh. No matter how tightly I locked my room or how many lights I left on, they appeared, like someone was carving me open while I slept. Then came the whispering. Late at night, from inside my closet, I'd hear it. Pages turning, something scratching, a soft hum, like a teacher trying to soothe a crying student. And always that same faint voice. "We're not done yet." I started losing time. I'd wake up in strange places, on my school's staircase, in the janitor's closet, even in the backyard, with mud under my fingernails and no memory of how I got there. My mom thought I was losing it. She made an appointment with a therapist, but deep down, I knew the truth. That ghost, that thing, it didn't live in the tunnel. It lived in the notebook, my notebook, and it had followed me. I tried everything. Burned the diary, deleted the notes app, switched phones, moved my bed away from the closet. But the dreams kept coming. The cuts never stopped. The scratching never ceased. So I made one final decision. I had to go back to room 6B. The old school building was nearly condemned, but I snuck in through a broken window one evening. The air was thick with dust and silence. My flashlight flickered as I moved down the hall. Every door I passed seemed to whisper. As I neared room 6B, my stomach twisted. The door was ajar. I pushed it open. Inside, the walls were covered in notes, written in blood and ink, pages taped to every inch, fluttering in the draft. Some had my handwriting, others didn't. In the center of the room was a desk. On it lay the notebook, open, waiting. I stepped closer. My own name was written across the top of the page in giant crimson letters, and underneath, new words began appearing as I watched. You came back. Good. Let's finish your story. A cold wind blew through the room. The lights dimmed. The door slammed shut behind me. And then, blackness. I woke up in my bed. Again. Same morning light. Same sounds downstairs. Same calendar date. Sunday. But this time, the wounds were deeper. My arms were nearly shredded. I could barely move. I screamed when I tried to sit up. My mom burst into the room, horrified at the sight of me. I was rushed to the hospital. They couldn't explain it. Self-harm, they assumed. But I knew it was still writing, still controlling. That ghost, it had locked me in a loop. Every time I tried to escape, I'd wake up on the same Sunday, the same dream. But my body told the truth. The cuts never faded. The wounds got worse. Eventually, I stopped trying. I stopped sleeping, stopped talking. I became the quiet kid again, the one people avoid in hallways. They whispered rumors about me, that I was cursed, that I saw something I shouldn't have. They didn't know how right they were. It's been 3 months now. I write everything down, like this, in the Notes app, hoping maybe someone will read it before it finds them too. Because here's the worst part. Last night, I looked in the mirror, and behind me, just for a second, I saw it, smiling, holding a new notebook. But this time, it wasn't mine.